Now we have a presentation on our new partner elementary. We have Lisa Vardaman and John Klein from VLK Architects with us tonight.
Good evening, President Kunkel, Dr. Brown, members of the board. We're excited to show you where we are on the design development phase of the partner elementary school. We've been busy. I guess we were here in June, visited with y'all on schematic design, and now we're back to show you, I guess, where we've gone as far as design development. Just real quickly, we want to acknowledge, I guess we've had a number of meetings with Birdville leadership and staff, and just want to acknowledge all the people that have participated and been part of the meetings, and we really do appreciate their input as we've gone through these meetings. So that's kind of the folks. As far as the project narrative, of course, this is the partner elementary school. We're taking existing Major Cheney Elementary, Richland Elementary, combining those two student populations into what will be a new elementary school located kind of between the two sites. And of course, we want to introduce in this design next generation learning with collaborative learning environments. Kind of going through into our project goals. We want to respect the heritage of both of those campuses and schools, bring it together into a unified vision. Again, we want to talk about next generation learning. We want to incorporate the sustainable design elements, make sure that things are energy efficient, bring plenty of natural light into the environment, and of course, for durability, we want to provide low maintenance products for the school so that we'll have a long life cycle for this campus. As far as the site location, it's located there in the green. Of course, the existing Major Cheney is there to the southwest. Richland Elementary is slightly to the northeast. So we are looking at the design of the campus. One of the things that we want to do is pay homage to the two existing campuses. And so as far as the axis of the building, the new building, we have Major Cheney. This axis kind of points to where the existing Major Cheney Elementary is, and in turn, this axis points to where the existing Richland Elementary School is. The site, you enter off of a residential street, Dreeben Drive. As I talked about back in June, we're going to widen that street, add an additional lane, so it'll be three lanes wide to provide for stacking along that drive. We wanted to incorporate both a bus loop and a parent loop. The bus loop we are showing in the blue, parent loop showing in green. Inside of the bus loop, we have staff parking. Inside of the parent loop, we have visitor parking. In between the two parking areas, there's approximately 150 parking spaces. We're working out with the city the exact number, but it'll be somewhere in that neighborhood once we finish up the design. As far as the main entrance to the building, there is this kind of promenade that walks up to what would be the main entrance in between the bus loop and the parent loop. And of course, another one of the major features of this site is the pedestrian bridge, where folks from Major Cheney Elementary area can drop their kids off. The pedestrian bridge, as we learned, will be covered, and as part of that, that actually helped to work with the design. The district also asked that, with the covered pedestrian bridge, they want a covered walkway up to what would be the main entrance. So as part of the design, we moved the building closer to that pedestrian bridge, and then also incorporated a drop-off area where the parents could drop it off, but it's also providing as the covered walkway from that pedestrian bridge. Moving into the floor plan of the building. Again, this is the main entry between what is the bus drop-off and the parent drop-off. This is that covered walkway. Safety and security, of course, is a major issue that we want to address. In looking at this building, we have basically sectioned it off. There's 3 levels of security for the students within the classroom area. Of course, the first level is the controlled entrance. You buzz in to actually gain access into the building, talking to the receptionist. You show your driver's license. If you're supposed to be there, they will let you in. From there, once they find out, why you're there, let's say you're a parent and you're there to eat lunch with your student, they can buzz you into the next level. In discussions with the staff, what we talked about was actually having a set of doors that will allow access to get to the cafeteria, but would block off the learning commons and what would be the activity room. So parent could be able to go to the cafeteria, but that would be the furthest they'd be able to go. Next level would be if they needed to get to the learning commons or activity room. They would walk up to those doors. There is a buzzer there. They would say that they're needing to gain access to a certain area, and the receptionist would then, if they indeed needed to get access, would give them access to that next level. And then finally, at the ends of each of these classroom academic wings, we have another set of doors that would have the same doorbell and buzzer system that would allow for access to for the person to gain access into the classroom areas themselves. The classroom academic portion, they're 2-story in volume, so we have classrooms on both the first and second level. Just quickly going through the floor plan, this is Area A, which is this wing back over here. There we have kindergarten and first graders, and have a teaming area in between, and then similar to the Smithville Elementary, we'll have the glass doors looking into the teaming area, and we've got some images of those coming up later on in the presentation. Again, academic portion. Here is the parent drop-off back over here. We have special ed in this front area with pre-K taking this space, and then, of course, a teaming area between the two. As we move into the core area, main entrance, I talked about the controlled entry going into the reception area and then back out what would be into the corridor, and these are the doors that we've introduced that basically lock off the learning commons and the activity room from the remainder, and it also locks off the second story stairwell from those spaces also. Move up to this area up here at the top. We have a cafeteria, kitchen, platform stage, and music room, and then the gymnasium activity room that will serve as the storm shelter for this campus. And then going upstairs, Unit A, again, we have second and third graders with a teaming area in between. And then in what is Area B, we have the fourth and fifth graders that are located in that portion of the building. As far as the conceptual image of the building, met with district and staff, showed a number of different images. This was the consensus that we have developed. This is an aerial view looking from Dreeben Drive, the bus drop-off being here, parent drop-off coming in, wrapping around here. Of course, you can see the pedestrian bridge and covered walkway from the pedestrian bridge, and this would be the main entrance of the building. This is looking, as you're walking, kind of from the corner bend of Dreeben Drive, walking up that promenade to what would be the front entrance of the school. Again, another conceptual image. This would be your front door look as you're walking up that main walk. We have a glass entry. We'll have the bullet-resistant film on that entry. We're showing kind of a wood. It's a fiberglass product. It's not actually wood, but it looks like wood as far as the soffit. And then we're showing a masonry unit and metal panels. What would be again? We're putting partner on here, but we know that that'll be the name of the school that y'all will decide on eventually for this campus. And then face brick over here with the canopy, the pedestrian canopy beyond. This is a look at the image at night. We have these round lights that will light up, and then we'll also have a light that will light up that metal panel there with the name of the school. This is an image looking back from the pedestrian bridge back to the academic wing, metal panels on the ends, face brick between, and then the covered walkway from that pedestrian bridge. Another conceptual image. This is the teaming area from the classrooms, showing with the sliding doors open and the sliding doors closed. I know last time in June there was some discussion on the kids and them possibly being distracted with the students that are out in the teaming areas. So what we've done is we've actually incorporated frosted glass from up to approximately 4 feet in height, so when students are seated, they wouldn't see the students out in the teaming areas, but the teachers would still be able to keep an eye on the students that might be out there. And again, we would have the ballistic film on these storefront units also. Quickly, just a conceptual image of the main corridor outside of the Learning Commons area, main corridor. Conceptual image inside the Learning Commons at the checkout desk. And then as far as the materials, like I said, in the academic portion, between the storefront windows, we will have I guess it's a cement fiber panel. It just kind of gives an accent between the storefront on the exterior of the academic wing. And then these were the soffits that I showed at the front. This would be the brick color that would be around the building. Then we have 2 metal panels. This metal panel is basically at the fascia and coping of the building, and then the azure blue is the panel that's there at that front main entrance, and then at the ends of the 2 academic wings. And then finally, there is this large brushed masonry unit. They're 16 by 24 inches, and that's what's basically on each side of this blue panel there at the front entrance. As far as next steps, we've been through programming, schematic design development phase. We've met with the cities that are involved in this, both the city of Richland Hills, who will be providing the sewer and water, and the city of Haltom City, where the property is. We're actually in the city of Haltom City as far as the site. Also met with the Corps of Engineers, and also there is the process for platting the site that we're going through with the city of Haltom City. As far as moving forward, construction document development, we're moving into that September and into December. I know in June there was a discussion of potentially moving this project date up to bid in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I've visited with a few contractors to get their thoughts on moving the bid date up. I guess the consensus I had gotten from the contractors is that basically between that time you're probably going to lose between 2 and 5% of your bidders because they may just not be interested, either because of the holidays, hunting season, or whatever. The consensus was your best prices would come in if you were to bid the project right after the first of the year. You'd probably see 2 to 3% less for bidding at that time. So again, that was from a few contractors that we had talked to. So with that, we're showing that we would be going out for proposals again in December, bidding second week in January, coming to the board at the end of January, and then starting construction in February for us to be able to complete this project in May of 2021. And with that, I will open it up, and if y'all have any questions.
Well, very good. Remind us what's being done with Dreeben Drive. The city has to be addressing that street in some manner. Have y'all had any discussions?
So as far, let me go back to the site plan.
Yeah, Richland Hills has to be widening that street.
So as part of this project, we are widening the
street.
street.
We are widening the
street.
Yes,
it's basically going to be 3 lanes so that we would have the stacking along this. So Dreeben, currently it's 2 lanes, and so we will be adding basically along our side an additional lane to allow for stacking. That'll basically run the length of our property line along there.
Okay, let's start this side, Jack.
So we're just doing it it's where our property starts to where our property ends.
Yeah, actually, I think it stops maybe just a tad below where this north property line is with the apartments, but it's kind of starts right up here and then pretty much goes all the way down to where it starts to curve.
Well, I do like what you did with the Richland Elementary and the Major Cheney cross thing, and that's a nice. You could maybe call that Richland Hall and Major Cheney Hall, and So anyway, I think this looks really good. I like. Of course, I think we were most sensitive when we originally started to make sure that we can get as much cars off the street as possible, because that's going to be a big issue just because of where it is, generally speaking. But otherwise, I think this looks really good.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this side? Kelvin? Richard?
The parking issue also, you said you're looking close to 150. Is that staff and visitor?
Yes.
I can imagine if there's a big event there that night, even though so many could park across the creek and walk across, make that as large as possible. I think you need to look at making
Well, there's going to have to be
possible.
some street parking on the curb.
Well, that's what the city probably doesn't want, and the people in the neighborhood probably don't want street parking. We've got it, we're on the edge of a neighborhood. But anyway, if we can squeeze another 15, 20, I think we need to maximize the parking, in my opinion, on that. Everything else, you did a great job. I like the idea of the covered canopies as we go along the way. Again, I didn't catch it, but we're leaving some rooms for pre-K somewhere. That necessity comes about.
Yeah, there were several.
The letters are too small without glasses. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. No.
We right now we are showing pre-K along here, and as far as the program is concerned, we looked at what are some of the flex spaces, and we dedicated on this campus that they would be pre-K. They would be designed as pre-K.
Very good.
So,
and one thing to talk about, you mentioned security, the fencing and screening between us and our neighbors, the apartments, that's going to be a big factor as you get further into the development stage there. I think you did a great job. I really like the way it looks. I mean, it's set back in the property, so it's going to be a great focal point for that whole area, and you've done a good job of that.
Well, thank you.
I think we'll be proud of it as it gets finished up. But the security between us and the apartments is going to be really critical too.
Yeah, and I did not mention it, but we will have a masonry fence, 6-foot masonry fence that'll basically be along this north property line,
Wow.
dividing the apartments from our site.
I should have mentioned it whenever the HKS guys were here. I don't see them anymore, but staff will talk to them again. But when it comes to, we think about it more now in August as far as what kind of drought-tolerant plants we're putting in there. I'm sure y'all think about this all the time. Y'all design schools all over Texas. But we need to start thinking really hard. I think Birdville needs to make a decision of what kind of drought-tolerant type plants we're putting in. It seems like we plant grass and shrubs and they're pretty, but 2 years later they're dead. And we've got to figure out a way to either do a better job of maintaining and watering, which is expensive, or we figure out a way to use the native plants that are more drought tolerant. So as you start talking to your landscape architect people, whether it be in-house or whoever you use, give that some thought. I mean, I think it's an issue we've got to really, as a district, as we build these campuses, we've got to think long-term instead of what's pretty for the first 6 months of the facility, then it goes away.
Yeah, and we would agree with that. And as part of your district standards, they've requested xeriscape, which is that drought tolerant.
Keep it going.
So
Thank you. Great job.
definitely. Thank you.
Kelvin?
Looking at 39, the aerial view. Okay, if you look at where the bridge, the canopy stops and then it goes across the street and the canopy starts up again. My question is, okay, so it's raining big time and you got a first grader and the water is draining along that side and it's this wide, and so they're going to be walking through that with
They're
wet
going to be
shoes
running
on
through it.
all day long.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah, and I understand the comment there. One of the challenges we are dealing with, and I guess let me go back to the site plan, is there, here we go. So, the way this building is positioned, of course, just with one entrance or one drive coming along here, we have to provide access to the back side of the building for the fire department to be able to get a fire truck or emergency vehicle or whatever. And so that is what is coming across there. I mean, and there has been discussions in our design meetings of, okay, well, do you leave that open or do you build the canopy that is now, 16, 18 feet high across there? And so the current thought was that we would have it open. Now, that's not finalized. That's, not in stone. And so that's one of those discussions that, again,
All we need is like a drawbridge.
Exactly.
How
Yeah,
expensive is that?
and there is also a maintenance road that is actually a little bit further down. It's not on y'all's property, but is part of the core. And there is a portion of that, again, the core is saying that it needs to be open. So I guess it would be the same kind of question from that aspect.
Kelvin, the good news, if it rains a lot, the plants will live and Rich will be happy.
Yeah, but I was just wondering if there was any way of at least providing good drainage around that, so that if it is raining hard, they won't have to cross. Maybe raise
it like we do this.
Yeah, raise it maybe, or
Yeah.
You can raise the sidewalk that connects the two, and you create like a speed bump almost. You've seen that before?
Yeah, I've seen that.
They're still walking across level. They don't get into the puddles or the gutters. That's a possibility there.
Okay.
Good discussion.
Thank you.
Over here? Go, Whitney?
Thank you. I agree. The design is great. It's very grown up. I hadn't seen teaming areas that were enclosed before in elementary schools. Can you tell me a little bit more about the dimensions of the teaming rooms and how, like the ratio per classroom?
So I'm trying to, let me see if I can find where you're. Are you talking about? Okay, so the collaboration areas, those are open.
They're open.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So let's go back to the.
Oh, great. Okay, from the
Yeah, this, I guess it does. We're defining it, but we're not.
Great. That was my other question, is wondering if that really was
So-
necessary to be enclosed.
So this is.
That's the teaming area.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. So this is the classroom right here, and then
Got it.
the blue would be represented by kind of the teal in the floor plan.
Okay, and the students would stay on the gray walkway.
Yeah.
And
So that's just kind of defining the path, but it's
Yeah.
just a different material.
And my other question is about the metal. I can't help but think of like school ground slides. Can you sell me on metal as a material for the front of a building where a kid might be leaning on it, or is it reflective and hot? What's the benefit of having a metal component?
I guess as far as long-term durability, it's not something that you would have to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Now as far as the heat portion of that, I guess,
I wonder if that would draw heat in or reflect it out, and if there would be kids there, and that I just don't know. And oxidization, I don't know if that would.
This is a pre-finished product, so there wouldn't be oxidation on that product. But as far as the heat, I guess that is something that we probably need to
If it's
look
hot to
into.
touch,
Yeah.
in basically 8 months out of the year here.
Let us look at that.
Yeah.
And,
It's
study
pretty,
that.
and I like the whole.
And champagne is
Design.
the color and not an ingredient, right?
That is correct.
Joe?
The metal panel has a really flat product that has insulation kind of compressed inside of it. So it's a nice product that will serve you for a long time on the building. But bringing it all the way down to the ground, there may be some concerns, like you say, about if you were leaning up against it. But we could probably find something that was complementary at grade level, so you don't have that, so that it still looks monolithic. But
Right.
Right.
And I'd wonder
performs.
about hail damage, because if it rains, sideways, hail.
Yeah,
that
we've
could-
had pretty good success with
Good,
it, and
good.
we've been doing it for quite a while. So.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think you guys ticked a lot of the boxes that I like to look for in design. One of them is, as a parent, having a good queue system to where you can drop off your kids and have a lot of room. You've done that, and then the walkway covers; those are great. A lot of things. I did have the same concern that Kelvin had because you run through rain and you kind of dry off your shirt, but your shoes stay wet all day, and that makes you miserable. So I do think that's very. I understand trying to get a fire truck through there, and the city may not even like to have the raised portion of the concrete. I don't know, but do some brainstorming on that. I do think that's one little thing we just want to make sure we get right. All right, and here's my. Sorry, I've got to ask this question, but since we don't have dressing room issues in elementary schools, I don't have to talk about that. But the standard design for a women's bathroom has always been everybody gets a stall. That's not typically how, and I meant to ask HKS about this earlier, that's typically not how the boys' bathrooms have been for efficiency and for other reasons. But we need for these bathrooms to be able to be compliant for a long time. And if my thought is where it's going in the future, what is kind of the current thought on how you would design boys' bathrooms for this facility?
Well, I haven't had any experience yet of actually just putting stalls in the boys' toilets, but we have started introducing a unisex toilet in the same area, or what you commonly see as a family toilet, so it can be used by anybody. As far as a student perspective.
That was a problem under the Obama administration dear colleague letter. That was not allowed as an accommodation. That meant that the kids that identified with their birth certificate had to use that family room, and the ones that didn't identify with their
There
birth
are no
certificate.
restrictions from, to my knowledge, as far as just putting stalls in the boys. We just have to do it at the ratio that's dictated by code. So,
I mean, if you're, in lieu of doing urinals, we could do all stalls if that's.
Well, I definitely understand that the efficiency factor, and I hate to lose that efficiency factor.
it
But
won't change the overall fixture count. I guess what I'm saying is that right now they give you a ratio of urinals to toilets if you choose to use urinals, but if we just use toilets, we'll be able to have that as a solution without an impact.
Do you think that would be a problem?
No, I don't believe so, but
I
we'll.
mean, I think that would make these something. I think that's. I just frankly, I think in 10 years that's.
And I don't disagree with you. We just haven't had any of that requested yet with our clients, but I can certainly see where you're headed.
I've just been really wanting to be ahead of the curve because I don't want to build a school in 2021 that by 2025 we're going to have to go back in and make major modifications to.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Might want to add to the janitorial budget.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Or maybe not.
I think I said, or I meant to say that I failed to say that to HKS, and if somebody, Katie or somebody, would pass that on, I appreciate it.
Okay, Kelvin.
What are you using on the floors?
So it's luxury vinyl. Yeah, no. It's luxury vinyl. So.
Okay, I think we thank you very much.
Thank y'all.